Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited, y'all, today. Listen, no longer are you going to be stressed out because my girl, Dr. Paula Anderson, is here with you today to tell you everything you need to know to de stress. And I'm telling you, it couldn't be more perfect right after this. Hey, friend. Hey.
Hello, Dr. Kiki.
How are you?
I am well. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am so happy you are here on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey show today because baby, this topic, I'm stressed out. I know you know so much about this topic, which is
Yes.
the reason why I invited you on the show. And I'm excited because I think it's very timely that we actually get to have this discussion at this time where we are at the end of the year, about to start a new year.
Yeah.
Maybe the end of a pandemic, about to start a recession. I mean, Lord, let me
It's a
just,
lot. It's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot going on. And so
Yes,
we are
ma'am.
going to talk about it today. But
Yep.
first, what I want you to do is kind of take a moment to introduce yourself to everybody so that they know who you are. And also, if you are joining us live, go ahead and put it in the chat, your name and where you are tuning in from. We'd love to give you a shout out today
Yes.
during today's show. But yes, tell us a little bit about yourself, friend.
Yes. Thank you again, Dr. Kiki. So, my name is Dr. Paula Anderson, and I am all the things. I'm a licensed therapist, organizational psychologist, and consultant, and also the president and CEO of PACE Consulting. We are a behavioral health counseling and organizational consulting firm based here in the Washington, D.C. area. And we've been around for 15 years this year. We
Woo!
celebrated 15 years. So excited.
It's so exciting. So, the audience may not know, but we met during our studies
Yes,
as we were getting our PhD in business psychology at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology.
yes,
And we became really good friends. And we made a pact that
yes,
we was going to graduate together.
yes, ma'am.
And
And
we
guess what? Guess what? We did.
we did just that. We graduated together, and we still support each other in all of our endeavors and what we're doing. But
Yeah.
and so I'm just so happy to have you here, to have you on the show, and to actually have you as a friend and a colleague because it does mean a lot when we go through difficult times together.
Yes, man. We need each other, especially as entrepreneurs. So,
Yes.
yes.
For sure. All right. So this is the first question I love to ask all my guests on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey show. What are your superpowers, aka your strengths?
Yes. Great question. So I have a few, but I'll just mention two.
Okay.
And mine is the ability to listen, right? So to be a therapist, I have to have the ability to listen. And I feel like that's a superpower that I feel like I do really well.
Yes.
And the other one is building relationships. I
Mhm.
connect with others pretty easily, and it helps in the work that I do. So
I concur on both of those things.
you can,
I concur on both of those things. I love it. All right, so we are here to talk all about stress, right? I did another show on stress and it's highly rated, it's highly watched. And I felt like this was a really good time to bring this topic back,
yeah,
especially based on all the things I just said. And so many people right now are stressed out. Like, I mean, it is a lot. That's why we got the show stressed out. Like, right? So many people are like pulling out their hair.
yeah,
You see so many things happen in the news and the media, on social media, and all of that, right? And so I want you to kind of give us a working definition of what stress is and why are so many of us falling prey to stress at this moment right now.
yeah. So great question, and you are right. We are all facing stress, and we're all falling prey to it. And so I think when you think about the definition of stress, right, it's basically the way it's normal.
Mhm.
Let's start there.
Okay.
Stress is very normal.
Mhm.
So just because you feel stress doesn't mean something is wrong with you, right? Stress is very normal, but it's basically the way that our body and brain responds to any demands. Any just so just think about it, any demands that are put on you,
Yeah.
that's stress, right? And so those demands could be good
Mhm.
actually, and they could be bad, right? So for example, a good example would be you got a promotion, you got a raise, and you know you're a manager over all these people. That's good stress, and you're excited speaking like you and I do, right? Speaking,
Yep.
training, that could cause stress, right? And then there's bad, getting laid off, right?
Mm.
Not having a job, somebody getting really sick in your family. So those are some types of stress. The good stress, which they also call eustress,
Mm.
and there's the bad stress, right? And then the reason that we're falling prey to it is exactly what you said. There's so much going on, and they're all demands. There's good demands and there's bad demands, so it doesn't matter.
Right, right, right.
Right? So there's something going on, but the negative stress that we feel comes from the negative things that are happening. And when you talked about the things that are happening in our world, I think about us being in a triple demic, right? We have the flu, we have RSV, and we have COVID.
Girl, I don't even know what to do no more.
Right. Right?
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Wow.
body is responding to that. It's responding to the news coverages and different things that we're exposed to,
Wow.
social media. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm falling prey. That's a lot.
Well, it's so interesting because you said triple demic. I need to read more because that is something that I hadn't necessarily heard. But I mean, it's like, why? But I was just at dinner with some friends from a small group at church, and kids are getting constantly
Yeah.
sick,
Yeah.
and we are getting constantly sick. We were talking about long COVID, all those things. And so all
Mhm.
these things are happening to our body, but I'm wondering, what is stress doing to us? Right? Like, what is stress doing to us, like in terms of our bodies or even our mind? Is even the mere thought of stress or the mere act of just having stress doing something to us um that we need to be on the lookout for?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I want to answer this question, Dr. Kiki, in like in talking about like the three types of stress. So not only do we have stress, but we have three types, right?
Okay. Please enlighten us, honey, because
Right, right. So we
okay.
have acute stress, right? Which is stress like, you're faced that like on a daily basis. It's acute. You may be, in the DC area, we have 495 and you in traffic and you may get some sweaty palms or be frustrated or just upset that you're sitting in traffic. But it's really like the demands that you face daily, right? So,
Okay.
something could be something simple,
Mhm.
right? Then you have episodic stress, which
Mhm.
is acute stress that's faced more frequently, right? And so people that are experience episodic stress may get like you may be irritable,
Mm.
short tempered, right? Like somebody may call your name and you're like, what? You're like, I'm just trying to get your attention.
That part. I feel like that's me. Like, what you need?
What do you need? I just wanted a glass of water, mommy. Right?
Oh my goodness.
Right. And then there's chronic stress, which is the one that's really serious, right? So
Mhm.
that's the one that's wearing down our bodies. We're experiencing it daily. It may be because we're in chaos, we're living in chaos, or we're in a dangerous situation,
Yeah.
or what have you, right? And so that's the one that we really need to pay attention to because it can suppress our immune system, right?
Mhm.
It can cause digestive issues. It can cause reproductive issues. It can cause, ulcers and, being more prone to increase heart attacks. So that, the chronic stress is the one that we really, really need to pay attention to.
Wow. It's so interesting because, you talk about the chronic stress and all the things that it can cause in terms of our bodies and everything like that. And I'm like, that's just one more thing we gotta deal with, is that the fact that this stress can now cost us. And I know that I think not, maybe not stress, or is burnout a mental disorder now, or is it stress? I couldn't remember which one.
So they all fall under like anxiety, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so burnout is kind of like in that family. So you have the
Oh,
stress, you have anxiety, of burnout, so it all falls under that family. But yeah, there's burnout at work. There's just, again, if you think about it, anything that goes on too long, right?
Right.
Our bodies, when you think about like what happens with stress, our bodies produce, hormones, right? That produce like triggers our fight or flight response,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So fight or flight response, that's meant to protect us, right? But then it's meant to, after it's protect us, it's meant to kind of go back down to its normal state, right?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
But when it's elevated all the time, the body's like, what's happening? Like we shouldn't be in this state 24/7.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it starts to mess everything up. And so that's when we start to experience all those physiological
What does that actually look like though? Like, so being in a state of chronic stress all the time, how does that manifest and show up? Because I think maybe some people don't necessarily know what that looks like for their own lives.
Yeah.
And 'cause you're a licensed therapist, and so you see this often.
Yeah.
And so I want people to know how, what are some signs and symptoms that they may be at least experiencing a large amount of stress.
Yeah. I would say, what's interesting, Dr. Kiki, I think the thing that people don't even think about, but it comes up a lot, is being irritable. Like if you're always irritable, think about that. If you're always irritable, like anything bothers you at any given time, like you have to be like, something is off, right? Some people get headaches, like you get, I can mention a lot of things. There's headaches, there's stomach aches, like a few years ago, I used to get, I was getting like bronchitis all the time. And I'm like, why am I getting, like, I don't get bronchitis, but I was stressed. I was in school, there's a lot. I don't know if you remember, there was a time where I was like, I'm falling apart.
I do remember. I was like, girl, we got to get through this program. No, ma'am.
Falling apart. But it was because there was so much stress, right? And my body was not doing well. But the emotional or the cognitive part is the irritability. Like you're always irritable. You're always on edge. And I don't think people pay attention to that irritability enough, right? The headaches, you can be like, okay, I'm getting a headache too often. Something's going on. But that irritability piece, people come in and I'm like, what is going on? Like, why are you irritable? And it usually always goes back to being like overly stressed.
Wow. Y'all, I hope y'all are listening to these nuggets because I would have never actually thought about that. Now that you say it, I can see it, right? But I would have never really actually thought completely about being irritable and stuff like that. And I think I notice people, right, in the day-to-day who are consistently irritable, right? Even, working in a virtual world, right, that are working in, I can still see it. I can still see the irritability in people in their day-to-day. And I'm like, so this is a telltale sign.
Yeah, that's something else, right?
That there may be something else that is going on. And so as a therapist, you see that happening. And so what happens to us if we don't learn how to de-stress? Like, I know we talked about some signs and some things that could potentially happen, but when we don't learn how to de-stress, ultimately, what kind of life does that look like for us?
Kind of more of the things we talked about is it's challenging, right? Because it affects it, like I said, it affects the physical, the cognitive, the emotional, right? So all the things is affecting every part of us, right? And so I think the thing, I for women, right? I'll just take for women, for women, I mentioned briefly about it could cause reproductive issues, right? Yeah. And so for women, like if you have a cycle, that's going on too long, or you're not getting
oh wow.
Right. For men, it could be ED, right? Erectile dysfunction. You know what I mean? So it can affect not just the headaches here and there, but it can start to affect things that that you may want as a goal to become a parent to, you know what I mean? So it starts to affect things that you don't normally think it affects. And like I said, like your stomach, the way you digest stuff. It's a lot. It can really affect a lot. And I don't think we think about that, right? And that immune suppression is another thing, right? So in the age of COVID, right? Nobody wants COVID 2, 3, 4 times.
No, man.
Right. Most of us have had it at least once, but you don't want to keep getting it, and you will be more prone to kind of keep getting it if you're overly stressed all the time.
Oh Lord, listen, this is I think half the world need to de-stress. Okay, like half the world are gonna need to de-stress, right? But
Yes, we
but
all
the
do.
question is this: we do, right? But we doing the most, right? I know even myself, sometimes I'll be on team too much, right?
She said team too much.
I play for team too much.
I'm about to use that, Kiki.
Girl, please hey, use it because I mean I'm trying not to be on the team anymore. I want to get kicked off of the team, right? Because it's just ridiculous. But given that a lot of us play for team too much,
Yeah.
and feel like there's we feel like it's too hard, to take this stuff off our plate. Why do you think it's hard for us to de-stress, right? What are some of the excuses or the reasons that we're coming up with, as to why we don't know how to get the stress off our back?
Yeah. Well, I think, being a member sometimes of Team Too Much, right? Right. You have a lot that you have to get accomplished, right? A lot that you want to do, right?
Yeah.
And I think while that's good, right? You're still only one person, and your body can only go so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, we really have to think about what, boundaries. Just the other day, somebody asked me to lead some committee. And I was like, oh, this sounds great. But then I was like, Paula, you can't do that. Like, you have like so
Yes.
much on your plate. You cannot head up another committee. Yes, be a member, but you cannot lead the whole thing, because you know what it means when you're a leader, what that means, right?
Damn.
And so, like, there's just that no. I've seen you talk about it before. Like, that no is a complete sentence, and we need to tell ourselves that no,
Part.
no, Dr. Kiki, no, Dr. Paula,
That
no, anybody else, no, I cannot do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. 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 We need to
No,
practice.
no. And just
We
say
need to
no,
practice.
because it's easy, right? You could be on social media and be like, oh, this person's doing, I need to do this, right? I mean, seriously, like
Yes.
20 years ago, I didn't know that you know what I mean? I'm just serious.
Yes.
It's like you didn't know what other people were doing because
No.
there was no social media.
Yeah, and we probably was so much better for it, right? Because now we have all this, social media envy, and we just, it's just really, 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 really rough on
Yeah,
us.
it's a
And
lot.
so you talk about no being a way to de-stress, but let's get into some nitty-gritty,
Yeah,
about
some practical.
ways, some practical ways that we can actually go out there and start de-stressing. Because like I said, I don't want to continue to be on team too much. I want to be on team. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be on team easy street, but
Maybe
we gotta
team
find some kind of
mid-level, mid area. I don't
middle,
know.
right? We gotta find something, right?
Mid street. They will call it
Right,
mid street. I don't know.
right, something like that, right? So, but what are some things that we can do if we
Yeah.
are finding ourselves in a constant state of stress, maybe potentially chronic stress? Just what are some things we can do?
So besides setting boundaries, right, with the no, I
So
think,
boundaries with the no. So we're
with
gonna
the no,
we're gonna
we got
start
that.
saying no to stuff.
The other thing is as simple as this sounds, Dr. Kiki, is deep breathing
Mm,
and doing it during the day, like multiple times during the day. Because if
mm,
you think about it, like out of all of our like things that we can do with our bodies, like that's one of the things that we really have control over, our breath.
right, right.
Right. And so, like, just taking time to deep breathe and taking time to like be aware of like,
Mhm,
your body. Like right now, as I'm
mhm.
talking to you, I was like, oh, my shoulders are like this, and I need to relax them.
Whew, yeah.
And I need to relax. And you could be on a computer and you're like this, typing. And it's
Mhm,
like, no,
mhm,
just take a moment, sit back, 3 minutes, deep breathing,
mm,
easy,
mm,
right?
mm.
You can even go on YouTube and find the YouTube guided, you can do guided meditation, 3 minutes,
Yeah,
YouTube,
yeah.
right? So there's so like we have no excuse not to de-stress, because if we have a computer and internet, or a phone, we have access to different tools that can help us with our breathing and our meditation practices.
I love it. What do you say though, right? To people who be like, I don't deep breathe. I don't know how to
Let me
deep
breathe.
they breathe, right? But some people have, right? And I've experienced it in some of the work that I do.
Yeah.
Some people don't really understand that it's not meditation, all of that doesn't have to be about a religious thing, right? A
Oh, no,
religious
no.
practice, right? That and so I think that there needs to be more education around that,
Yeah.
because people are like, oh, I don't know how to meditate. I don't know how to do that. And I used to be in a place where I didn't understand it, but I just will now take time to just take a quiet moment,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
everybody know how to sit and take a quiet moment. Well, that's not true. Everybody know how to do it because they don't practice it.
right. Right.
Right.
Right.
But I found
Mhm.
that that has helped me, even if I haven't necessarily done the deep breathing. But I think the deep breathing is good because it brings us awareness.
Of your body and the state
Yeah.
it's in. And I think just, I mean, it's simple, right? So I would say like, it's really like, breathing in, holding 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then letting go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and maybe doing it like 3 times and then doing it like 3 or 4 times throughout the day.
What does it take for you to be conscious enough to do that? Like I feel like you got to be in a state of awareness of where you are
Mhm.
in the moment or even in life,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, I think it's just taking a moment. And so, like how we're on right now, I won't do it. I won't close my computer because then we'll shut off. But maybe it's like if you're working from home, maybe it's just closing the computer, right?
Mm.
And like just taking that moment to deep breathe, like putting your phone aside, and literally it can 2 to 3 minutes. I'm like not asking you to do it for 15 minutes, half an hour, 2 to 3 minutes. Maybe 2 or 3 times a day, and you will notice a significant difference, right? I think it's just we if we care about our bodies, and that's what it comes down to. It comes down to self-care,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right?
Oh, yes.
If we care about our bodies and how it's functioning, and if we want it to produce more, then we have to take these moments to
Right.
be still, to be aware, to take some breaths, to do some meditation, whatever works for you,
Mhm.
so that you can be better for it. Because again, you don't want to be, like I said, the acute, the episodic, the chronic. You
Yeah.
don't want to be in that state of chronic stress all the times,
Yeah.
because the things that you wanted, if you want to be productive, well, guess what? If your body stops working and it's immune suppressed, then you're going to get sick, and then your body will stop working.
Yeah. Yes. 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 And I mean, do
Yeah.
you think that some people who have actually gotten sick, or had some things happen to them, if they started doing some of the things that we're talking about right now, like setting boundaries and really saying no to the stuff that you can't do, um,
Mhm.
and then taking some deep breaths, that can help them begin to repair. We're not saying that this is a fix or end all be all,
Right, right.
but do you think that that'll help them begin to, go in
Yeah,
the right direction?
I would say yes, and I would also add to the deep breathing too. Like you talk about exercise. There's
Mm.
exercise, right? So then there's that's huge, right? Because now your body is producing the good hormones, right? The way that you eat, healthy eating,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Connecting with people, being social, so there's so many things that you can do that can be preventative,
Yeah.
right? So that you can feel better, and so that it will, prevent you from getting into that chronic state. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of preventative things. Like we're usually a reactive nation, world, if you will. We react, right? Okay, let me take the medicine because now I feel well. Instead of having to take medicine, do these things on a daily basis. Practice, 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 and it will help to lead to you feeling a lot better.
I love it. I love it. And I think that that's the key, practice, right? The key is really actually putting this stuff into action. We say we're going to do all these things, but then when it comes down to it, we don't do it. We don't make it a habit. And we
Right.
know that new research says that it takes about 66 days to build a new habit. We used to think it was 30 days or 20 days or something like
I think
that.
it was 21, right? Yeah.
21 days or something like that. It's a nice number. Yeah, we be changing stuff up. We're like, girl, it don't take nobody 21 days to no. That's not what the research says,
You're saying
right? And so it
66. Okay.
takes 66 days, right? And so if we
Mm-hmm.
started right now, we'd be well into February, and we
Mm-hmm.
would still need to do some work on it, right? We
Mm-hmm.
still need
Mm-hmm.
to do some work on it.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned working out. I particularly don't have a lot of problems working out, but I know that a lot of people do. And
Yes.
I mean, it is what it is, right? Right. I
Yes,
know
it
that
is.
some people don't necessarily like it, and I get it, but it's a necessary evil. Um,
Mhm.
do you think people have to work out like an hour a day, 2 hours a day in order to just actually start to de-stress? What are your thoughts?
No, I'm shaking my head because I don't
Right,
do that, but I exercise.
right, right.
um, so there, I'm going to teach your audience something. There's an app that I use, and I swear by it. It's called the 7 Minute app. I'm not kidding.
Ooh, the
I'm not
7 minute
the
app.
7 minute app, and it's a
Okay.
workout for 7 minutes, and you can pick whatever part of your body you want to work out or all the parts, and you're like going hard for 7 minutes, and you're done after 7 minutes, and it's a beautiful thing. I do,
Oh,
I
girl,
do it almost every
listen.
day.
Yes, y'all heard it here on the Dr. Kiki Remsen Show. The 7 minute
7 minute.
app is a
Yeah, I don't
resource.
I don't know who made it, and you maybe need to give Dr. Kiki and me some
Right,
uh,
right. Grants over
some
here.
money or something. But yeah, it's 7 minutes. There's no excuse. You could be on
I
your phone for 7 minutes, right?
for people gonna be on their phone for more than 7 minutes, okay?
That's what I'm
But
saying.
no, oh, okay, I love that because I think that people do need something that's easy to start with, and then if it goes well, then you can increase from there. But I think that a lot of times people think that they just got to be doing like an hour, 2 hour, even
No,
30 minutes. And
no.
it's not necessary. What you need to do is just get moving a little bit. And let me just tell you, for me, it absolutely does de-stress me,
Yeah, yeah,
right? I
yeah.
mean, I'm a Peloton, you know me, I'm a Peloton fanatic.
Right, right.
Peloton tread and the bike. And if y'all on
Yeah.
Peloton, I don't get no money, but it's Kiki, do you love me? Is my Peloton name. So
Well,
that's my Peloton name. But I love to get up in the morning time and I work out before I get my day started because
mhm.
that actually helps me.
Yeah,
That helps me be less stressed, to de-stress throughout the rest of
right.
the day
That's
when
right.
I've actually gotten the workout done in the morning time. And so
Yeah,
it helps a whole lot.
yeah. And I think just that you
Yeah.
mentioned the word earlier, Dr. Kiki, you mentioned habits, right? So you're creating a habit by doing it every morning. And so, it could be just setting your timer, right? So setting your timer to do something. Maybe it's not even
Right.
7 minutes, maybe just getting up, doing a few jumping jacks, push-ups, sit up, you know what I mean? And call it a day, but you've got your body moving somehow, right? But just
Right.
put it in your schedule or set a timer for it to happen. So you're building
Absolutely.
that habit.
That absolutely. And even with Peloton, they have workouts as short as 5 minutes. Like
See,
you
see,
can
see,
do some
Peloton
5
already know. They already know.
Right, they already know, right? You can do workouts 5, 10, 15, those short interviews. So some days I don't always have 20 minutes, 30 minutes or an hour to work out. I might
Mhm,
go down there and do some 5-minute abs or
mhm,
do a 15-minute walk real quick or
mhm,
run, and I'm
mhm.
good, right? And so
Yeah,
I think it's just a matter of, like you said, actually doing it and making it a habit. One of the things that I say all the time is that working out for me is non-negotiable,
mm, I love that.
right?
I
It's
love that.
non-negotiable. And so I think we need to
I love
have insert whatever that is for us, self-care, what
Mhm.
eating well, all those things are non-negotiable. And I think if we can make them non-negotiable for ourselves, then we can be a lot better
Yeah, absolutely,
based on what
absolutely. And it'll help you in the long run, right? So
yeah,
it may not feel great in the
right.
in the moment, or it may feel great, right? But in the long run, it's really helping you to be better. So when the demands of life do come, you're
Mhm.
better able to to deal with it, to manage it, right?
Right. Because you said demands of life do come, because they're gonna come.
They going and well
They they
they
they
come
here.
every
They
day.
here. Right. They here.
They're here. The
They
demands are here.
so So we have to do it. And um oh my God, look at our time. This is ridiculous. I'm telling you. Yes, I told you. Like the shot. It goes by so quick. So, is there anything else you want to leave us with about just de-stressing? Because I mean, I know how important it is, especially now. It's just super important. So, is there anything else you want to leave us with? And if you're joining us live, thank you for the hearts. I see them. If you want to drop your name in the chat, let us know who you are and where you're tuning in from. But what else would you just like to leave us with around this? Because baby, so many of us are stressed out and we don't want to be no more.
Yeah. I would just say, just, as we are approaching the holiday season, just to, even though it can be a time of like, joy and happiness, it actually can be a time of stress for a lot of people. So, pay attention to that, right? And so if there are situations that may cause you stress, even with family, and I hate to say it, right? Set your boundaries, right? So if you don't want to, be involved in what that family dinner or whatever, then know what your boundaries are, know what your stress levels are, what you can and cannot take, and just be mindful during the holidays, because it can turn into something from joy to stress, and you don't want that, right?
Yeah.
So just really be mindful of the things that are causing you stress during the holidays.
I love that. Be mindful, y'all. When do we know when we need to come see you? So
Irritated.
irritated. Making an appointment with Dr. Paula Anderson, y'all. I'm just trying to say it. So
when you're irritated, just when, I would say, when you're it affects like your activities of daily living, right? So like if it's hard for you to get out of bed, and if it's hard for you, you don't want to see anybody, you start to isolate yourself. If you are, you start to, not wanting to eat, or having less of an appetite. So those things are when you're like, okay, I may want to see someone. But I would also say, if you're irritable too, like if you feel like I've been on edge a lot lately, I always tell people, I'm like, therapy doesn't have to be just like when you're hit the end of the road, right? When you're hit that brick wall. It could be, at the beginning when you're starting to see those signs and symptoms, and you want to, use it as a preventative care. So, yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So tell everybody how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So I'm on LinkedIn, Dr. Paula Anderson, LCPC, NCC. I'm on Instagram at Dr. Panderson, and at pace.consulting. And then also our website is www.pace-consulting.com.
Awesome. Well, you all, if you definitely are in a place where you feel like you're really stressed out, please check out all the things that Dr. Paula just said. And also, if you feel like you need a little bit more level of care, hit her up into her practice. She does amazing work. And for all of you who are out there in land, we actually are doing our vision board challenge tonight in the Dr. Kiki Ramsey's Happy Women Lead community. So you can actually join the community for free if you just go to happywomenlead.com. We'd love to see all of you. As always, check me out on all the social medias at Dr. Kiki Ramsey. Check Dr. Paula out on all the social medias as well. And I look forward to seeing you all next time. As always,